afternoon. Thank you to another Bluefort Fireside Chat with our North American partners. And we are happy to introduce Maggnumite and Bradley Webster. One of the co-founders will be guiding us through a discussion on cloud resilience, navigating business challenges with flexibility and innovation. And joining him will be Bjorn Kuijt from Bluefort from Malta, broadcast to you live globally here. And I'm joining from Atlanta, and I'm Edward Harof, and I run sales for Bluefort North America. So thank you for joining us. It's going to be a great discussion. We're going to dive into some deep discussions that you hopefully will find very valuable to your business for you, regardless of whether you're Microsoft directly or a partner or a customer and somebody wanting to grow the business and understand more about these different important topics in this world of AI and changing fast technology that's very hard to keep up with. But we're doing our best to help fill in those gaps for you and filter out the noise from the media. So this is where you want to come for the definitive dictionary of what's accurate and the truth be told.
Filter out for sure.
So with that, let me let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get to some talking topics and go from there. So Bradley, if you could.
Yes, thank you so much, and it's great to be with Bluefort. Bradley Webster, Vice President with Maggnumite. I'm actually not the founder of the company. Dan Gregerson, our CEO, is, and we are a boutique Dynamics ERP partner specifically for finance and operations. However, our topic today is going to be around the cloud, and I think you're going to get some valuable insights as we look a little bit back at some history related to the cloud, which will help set the stage for what's coming, I believe, at least the next 5 years, because AI, generative AI, is going to fundamentally change us completely in the IT world. So I think this is going to be a great discussion that we have.
Bjorn?
Yeah, that's some great stuff there, Brad. And thanks for joining us with Maggnumite today in this session. It's really awesome to have you here. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. I think indeed there's been a huge shift in capabilities that organizations around the world have by virtue of the cloud, enabling them to do things that with the good old premise applications you would never be able to do. So yeah, looking forward to get into this.
Yeah, excellent.
So let's get right to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ed.
I was going to say let's get right to it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into, if you could lead us, Bradley, on understanding resilience in business, and let's take it from there.
Well, one of the things about I think if I could give a takeaway to anybody who's listening, is the cloud is going to provide you or your company what we consider the term optionality. Keep that in your mind, that the cloud provides my company optionality, and we're going to discuss what that may mean. But I kind of want to set the stage with a chart, which was very fascinating, and it came from the consulting firm McKinsey. And the chart here, you can see as you look at this particular chart, and what they're doing here is they took a study and looked at several companies coming out of the downturn in 2008. And what happened in 2008 started to mold more and more associated with the cloud to provide companies optionality. And as you can see from the chart, what happens is that companies that became what McKinsey considered resilient are the ones who in that downturn in 2008 did not look at the P&L of the company and did not do cost cutting. This is very crucial as we begin to talk about what's going on today. So what they did was they looked at their business and they said, how can we do things better? How can we do things different? How can we do things effective? And part of that happening is the cloud technology and the adoption of the cloud, because they said we can do this, we can do that, we can change this, we can do that. And as they came out of that, those that made those kinds of leaps actually became resilient companies. And McKinsey has a lot of examples of a number of companies that this happened to. And as you can see from the chart, what ultimately happened is the companies that became resilient and around optionality in the cloud, they actually became far more valuable than the actual stock market, because the stock market, as you can see, is the middle row there, and the ones that became resilient became even far more valuable than that. So this is a very important topic, because what's happening now in the cloud, naturally giving customers choice and optionality. What's turning now is the data. The data is becoming extremely important, because why? Now the data can be massaged for AI and generative AI, the ability now to have AI make the company even more productive. And this is what Microsoft's Copilot is all about. As we begin to, you know, Maggnumite, coming from an ERP perspective, right? We're all about finance and supply chain and implementing ERP for customers. But what's going to happen now is ERP is going to become more important, because the importance of the data is going to be there, so AI can grab it and make intelligent decisions to it. And we'll talk about that even further as it goes along. Bjorn, I know you want to jump in. You probably got some great things to say about this. And we've lived through this, right? With 2008 until now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from that perspective, you're onto something that is echoed very well in the examples you gave, coming from the slides we just looked at, the graphs we just looked at. And I think a company being resilient as you go forward has to do with optionality for sure, but also has to do with taking away dependencies that you don't need. And I think going to the cloud, you have certain dependencies that you were relying on in the IT team, or your hardware, your services, and all kinds of surrounding capabilities that you have to facilitate to run the business, that all of a sudden with the uprise of the cloud are not necessary anymore, because they are provided to you as a service. And when things become a service, that means that you buy something that is reliable, that is trustworthy, that is secure, and holding all the data you just talked about in a place where it sits for a long time, and in a secure and stable way. So as you go forward, the data only gets enriched. And I think with innovation that comes along naturally in the cloud as well, with companies like Microsoft and many others that have taken a big stride forward into building solutions that can attach to your cloud platform very easily, rather than you having to do a lot of work yourself. You can connect new capabilities, new tools like Copilot, and various other innovative capabilities that can help businesses to react to things that they want to react to. Let's say in the downturn back then, we had let's say we needed more tools and capabilities to run the business. At the same time, nowadays supply chains have been redefined, connectivity to customers and vendors have been redefined completely, and managing all of that is something that you want to be able to do as a service and just consume that capability, because at the end of the day, you want to run your business as a key priority. I think that's where that shift has fundamentally changed from using technology and applications and underpinned and empowered by the cloud, has given companies, and many companies like the ones you just showed, a huge advantage for them to accelerate very rapidly.
Yeah, and Ed hit on it in the very beginning, where things are moving extremely fast, right? Much faster than we've seen in the past. And Ed even said, "Gosh, it's even hard to keep up." And it is. Just put yourself in the customer's perspective, right? That they're looking at all kinds of options out there, various solutions, and how do they grapple with this fast moving thing that's happening here, especially around AI. I think the AI guided productivity model that Microsoft brings to the table with Copilot and Enterprise Copilot, I think that's going to extremely help as companies grapple with just the Chat GPT and AI in general. But
Well, you roll. I mean, you
go
touched
ahead.
on the next talking point there, but you can roll right into it, which is what that is. So, what's the role of the cloud technology? Expand on that, and I would say add to it, our role, right, as a collective team of technologists. What is the role of cloud technology in helping the companies and this emergence of all this new technology?
I think that is a very big question. I think in the transformation we went through with the rise of the cloud and its capabilities, I think everyone in our customers and our partner channel has become a bit of a technologist, because
Mm,
with cloud we have now, let's say, more smaller solutions that are plugging into your CRM, into your ERP, into your desktop applications you use every day, like Outlook. And that means that in your line of business, whatever that might be, as you guys were touching earlier before on generative AI, rather than you needing to look for all the bits and pieces to, for example, as a salesperson, generate, configure, price, and quote a new offer to your customers, or as a product manager, generate a bill of material in manufacturing, or in subscriptions to uncover, like, hey, what's the best thing to do next to make sure customers don't churn. Rather than you needing to figure out all these things, you can now use pieces of technology that are part of platforms and of capabilities that can help you make those decisions or uncover those elements or generate a new quotations much faster than you could ever do before. And I think that's where things shift, where people really can use technology now to accelerate their work in a much faster pace than they could do
right.
before.
And you can see that how the importance of data, everybody, in the past, ERP, putting data in, oh, this is cumbersome. Why do we need this information? But we've gone ahead and done it. All of a sudden now the data becomes extremely important for AI, right? This
Absolutely.
is where
Absolutely.
things are moving. Think of it this way. Um, Copilot, give me a P&L report on, or slice me up this particular data here and provide this report. That's coming. That's going to be
Yeah,
here, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that would be things that you would do, yesterday by virtue of carving out 2-3 hours in your agenda to do it all yourself, right?
Exactly. And
That's
that's
where the
what's happening
productivity.
already, right? You can see it. You can see it. You can see it happening.
well, and that's
So,
what when I think of the role of the cloud technology, and you touched on, mentioning McKinsey, and that's because I know we've all done it, is you can go to McKinsey and Forbes and Gartner and Microsoft Learning and 100 other websites and figure it all out yourself, or come to partners like Maggnumite and Bluefort and Microsoft, and have them condense it and explain what the role and how to filter and focus on what's going to be useful based on your scenario. Because trying to figure it all out yourself, there's really no need to do that. It's I find this as, hey, when we talk about practical applications, the next one, it's like, how many people know there's how many different co-pilots? Or what's the difference between generative AI and Copilot, right? That's a stumper, right? And that's where we can help. So
right.
so
Yeah.
the next question is, what are practical applications to this? What do you see?
Well, this is a good point, because Bluefort brings in, subscription models, right, to this, because the cloud is, that optionality now, because companies want to cut cost in some ways, and and they're finding ways uh, with the cloud, and subscription models are going to be continually becoming more and more important And that's where Bluefort comes in with the solutions they're providing around subscription models. I mean, think of it this way, a lot of, a lot of companies don't want to own that device, but they'll subscribe to it. And oh, by the way, if you pull this amount of data through it, it's going to be this price versus some other price, right? So Bluefort's solutions in that model can be a real help to customers. And of course, Bjorn, you can talk to your product far more than I can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it kind of also drives a transition in many businesses when you think about a customer not as something that that happens as a one-time transaction where you have a sales, you book that sales order, you pick, pack, ship, or you book the timesheets and time cards on your project, or you deliver what you need to deliver and it's done. You send a bill and that's over and out. But in a subscription world or in a reoccurring world, you want to try and build a much longer lasting relationship to make sure that those products or services that you deliver are attuned to what the customer needs in a cadence, in a recurrency. And finding that recurrency with that customer and offering them a longer term cycle as to how they can consume those services or goods over a longer period of time makes that revenue much more relevant to the business than the one-time transactions that many companies still do. And I think at the same time, a big part, I think, of recurrency and also interacting with customers stems from the customer experience you provide. And that's where also technology comes back to play. The customers want to know continuously via WhatsApp messages, via notifications of any kind. Where is my order? Where's my timesheet? Where's my invoice? Hey, I want to click on it and see it straight on my phone when the delivery took place, or when that subscription invoice came in, or why I'm getting a renewal coming up right now. Customers want to be served right off the bat for that long term, and delivering against that customer experience is obviously powered, again, falling back to the cloud technology part, for enterprises to pick up that communication and customer experience with technology that underpins it. And those are practical applications in our domain from a subscription management point of view, from let's say, having a platform that can truly drive that long-term customer experience and keeping it fresh. So let's say that they don't churn out after a year, but that you modify and provide that optionality to your customers with your services, as we touched on before.
Yep.
At the same time, it also drives us as a software business at Bluefort to help our end customers with partners like you guys at Maggnumite to also use, let's say, smarter capabilities, like, for example, generating opportunities in the installed base to up and cross-sell, or detecting churn in a negative customer service with customers where customers might not be so happy with certain services, so you can immediately be on the ball to solve it rather than figure it out 2 weeks later when it's too late, right? So that's all kinds of practical applications in
Sure.
our world of subscription management that are purely powered by the rise of cloud technology.
Yeah, and those practical applications are backed up with statistical and analytical data that's out there for customers to look at and say, well, we're time and materials, we're happy. Yeah, but shouldn't you explore subscription recurring revenue models just to see what it does? Because if you look at the data, it's 23% increase in revenue across the board. So looking to partners like Maggnumite and for their, whatever your industry, whether it's life sciences or manufacturing or finance or utilities or, they're all doing it, right, in different ways. And that's where I think the partnership is important, because we can help focus and speak their language, since that's their industry, and pull that out and give them the examples of, here's where you can use this, here's how, and most importantly, how do you transition to it? Well, you don't have to do it all at once. You can do it in one division and move it from there, but you should do it. I mean, because that's where it's going. So,
and what's interesting that's going on is, Maggnumite's focused into the life sciences industry. Being in California, life science is a big corridor here, as well as the Boston corridor. And we're very focused here. But what we're focused in, which is very interesting, is down market into the startups and the early risers of life sciences, the small companies. Because what the cloud does for them, and we have to grapple with this, is like a life sciences startup, what are they going to start off with? They're going to start off with, some financial solution that's easy and what I'll say quick, okay? But as they grow, life sciences does, they go like this, boom, they grow very fast. And they need to jump quickly after that little financial application they started with directly into a tier 1 solution. And we have to capture that early because the cloud does not, allow the cloud on the other side says once you make that decision, you're going to stick with that. Why? Because on the ERP side, the updates, the upgrades, they just come naturally into the cloud, right? There's no mark in the sand anymore about, oh, we've got to go to this next version. That isn't going to happen. So
Yeah.
capturing them early is where the key is. And I'm really trusting and hoping that Microsoft gets that. Because in the life sciences world, they grow fast. They'll in a matter of 6 months, they can go from 50 people to 1,000 people. We've seen it.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
that's a good segue to future
But
proofing,
cloud
right?
gives them that optionality to do that, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and if we can get them early into a tier 1 with Dynamics Finance and supply chain, because that's going to take them further.
Yep. So the next topic we have is building on what we just did, which was future proofing through subscription models.
Yeah, exactly.
So Bjorn, you want to lead that one?
Yes, yes, yes. And sometimes, I think about the word subscription, and then I realize it's actually a small term that has many different shapes and forms it comes in.
That's right.
Throughout,
Yes.
throughout, let's say, I think the thing that strikes me always as most important when you think about the model itself, we call it subscription model here, but it's about the long-term customer relationship that you want to, on the one hand, financially monetize against, but operationally deliver against as well. So managing a contract of a year, 2 years, 3 years, simply like we even do in our own world, right? When the customer signs up to deploy Microsoft Dynamics 365 applications, they also venture into a long-term relationship to use those applications. And underneath that, we have activities we need to deploy. We need to make sure that we build and renew those applications. We need to be able to provide optionality, as Brett was talking about, to say, hey, you know what? You're scaling up right now and your sales team needs more tools. Here's your applications for the sales team to work with and to manage their lead to order process. Okay, now you're moving on and actually your manufacturing is ramping up now, or you're taking manufacturing from subcontracted in-house. Hey, now I need manufacturing to be also supported with the right level of data and business applications, and you can switch that on as well. So in our world also, we need to deal with that optionality under the umbrella of a long-term relationship that you have with your client that switches on and switches off all these different types of requirements, maybe software, as in the example of Dynamics 365, or may it be a scenario where you provide services under the umbrella of a subscription-based recurring model where you might provide now only support services, but clients might want to branch out into taking up more services and more repeatable services that are also recurring as well along the way in that optional world of choosing and picking what you need. So one key part is it's that always sticks out is understanding what you provide to your customer from the beginning, but over the course of a 3-year contract, also understanding that might change and it needs to be altered to what the customer itself changes into. That sometimes you might need to drop certain services or products or software that you're providing along the way and interchanging that into others and morphing along in the journey with that customer into what they need at any point in time. So it's not a static journey, it's a very dynamic journey. And the beauty of it all, it's like any dollar you make from a recurring point of view is worth 3 times as much as you would make it in a one-time transaction. And therefore, those contracts, the value of those contracts that you build as a recurring contract business will also increase the enterprise value of your business as well. And that's also from a financial point of view and economic point of view,
sure.
Rolling into a subscription model is very often a mission critical thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's important for, because when we're talking about that whole component is because subscription touches the whole company, the sales, the services area, the accounting area. That's what Maggnumite does, right? So therein, that's why it's important to work with a partner that understands the business itself, and especially how you guys work as a customer, because they bring that knowledge and where it's going to touch each one of those areas, because each department has their own challenge with
Right.
when you're talking about recurring revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. If I could sum this up, I know we're pressed for time to get this information out. I would look at it is that the cloud and the optionality that Bjorn really stressed is going to provide the company the resilience it needs, especially to get through, hard times or down times, and having to move and, take on an application, maybe, delete an application. As the cloud, you can move and with it, right? And so that resilience is going to throw you into the AI side of this, the artificial intelligence side that's happening now. So the companies that adopt the optionality, move in resilience, all of a sudden the data and the AI becomes extremely, extremely valuable, right? And the data then, even that cumbersome data that you've worked with all those years, all of a sudden is going to become extremely valuable with generative
Yes,
AI.
absolutely, absolutely. And we've seen already new innovations coming up that, let's say, where the manual mastering of structured data that at least from my background I used to grow up with, to really ensure that you record data properly, that it's all neat and tidy, comes with lengthy and sometimes cumbersome and expensive processes. And with the rise of AI and the rise of the cloud, now we have the capabilities also to have data enrichment processes, data connection processes, and simple things that we couldn't even comprehend 10 years ago, like, having an email on a customer record in ERP and tagging all the emails of the client automatically and understanding and reading those emails and actually coming back with that, hey, this customer is very happy, well done, or this customer is really not happy, and flagging the sentiment of those emails into the 360 view of that customer, were things that 10 years ago we could never dream about, and those are reality today. So yeah, lots of things
Yeah,
are
it's exciting. The next 5 years with this is going to be extremely transformative, extremely.
absolutely, and I think
Yeah,
that
and you can see it already happening.
you can see
Well,
already.
and that kind of brings us to our end, which is the future outlook, and we've touched on a lot of points there, and the things that people should think about with recurring subscription billing buying business model. There's, if you take a few points away, you're talking about churn. You get familiar with terms like churn and revenue leakage and real-time integrated systems that provide this important process flow between lead to order and all the steps in between, and that analytical data that Bradley and Bjorn talk about in being able to cross sell and upsell. So if you guys could kind of give us a future outlook closing statement, that would be great. Bradley? Oh, you cut out.
Did I cut out? I'm sorry about that. I think
The network,
as we drive
cut
forward,
us off, so.
in this transformation, I think you're going to. I think the AI naturally is going to generate productivity in a guided way to the user, and then they're going to be able to have make decisions on and on actionable data, and then it's going to be it's going to provide further flexibility, and it's going to further provide extensibility out there, and then I think naturally security and the security of the data And that's why Microsoft is so important, especially with Copilot and what's going on as you continue to adopt Microsoft technology. Copilot is a prime extension of that, and Microsoft's doing some great stuff around the enterprise AI that keeps that in the walls of the company, and especially the safety of the intellectual property of that company. So that I think that's an outlook, at least 5 years, that this is just going to be transformative. So Bjorn, you probably have a better spot on with this than me, but
No, I think you did. So you touched on some great points there, Brad. I think, let's say, when I look at the future going forward in where the world we live in and how we support our customers, bringing sound data and business applications together for them, I think more and more the amount of data that we capture will increase, and which will connect us to much better decision-making processes. I believe also that that AI, although often we call it AI, but it will make things easier for users to much more rapidly create the data they need to process orders, and to easier collaborate much quicker with their customers, their suppliers, their employees than they do today, increasing the speed of processes, I think, significantly. And ultimately, I think the more static types of applications that we have today will become much more fluid and dynamic and circumstantial, based on the optionality that customers choose along the way to fall back into, let's say, that the choice and the things that you need to stay resilient, and not have one fixed brick of an application that's just there. Now you have to have it for 10 years. That's not this day and age anymore. And more you can move quicker and faster due to the optionality that you have today with the cloud, and that will only accelerate even more with data gathering, data collection, and sharing data across your business network as a company. And that will drive much longer and better customer relationships and employee and vendor relationships. And that will change monetary models that underpin those systems into reoccurring models, into subscription models, detaching value delivery from the monetary one-time billing, but into a much more relationship kind of scenario, membership scenario, I think, going forward.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, Bradley, Bjorn, thank you very much. Hope
Thank you,
the
guys.
viewers.
It's always good to work with you guys. So
Same here, Brad. It was wonderful talking to you. And thanks, Jay, as well. Great stuff.
Thank you, guys. And for those of you watching, reach out to Maggnumite, reach out to us. We work together closely daily, and we'll be happy to get into the resilience and optionality and show you what we're talking about as it pertains to what you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care.